My name's Andrew. I play guitar for a heavy metal band or doom metal band called My Dying Bride. We're from England, and we're basically doing this interview in hope to bring some or shed some light on the fact that we've got a new album coming out called A Mortal Binding, which I think is our 14th or 15th. We've done so many we no longer can count. Hello, everybody.
Beautiful, Andrew. Thanks for joining us today, mate.
My pleasure.
So, My Dying Bride released your 15th, apparently I've been told, 15th and latest studio album, A Mortal Binding, on April the 19th, mate. So that's not too far away now. How are you feeling about it?
To be fair, I'm quite relaxed. I'm a little bit apprehensive because we kind of, well, I don't do a lot of social media, so I don't see a lot of the reactions that's happening to it, and we didn't send the album out to a lot of sort of friends and family and that kind of thing. So I don't really know. I'm relatively confident that we've created something that's okay. So there's a little bit of apprehension on that because I don't really know what people are going to think. Also, I'm relieved is probably the word, because it's to get an album right. I don't think you ever really get them right. You finish them when you run out of money, type of thing, and hope they're right enough. So it's been hard work, you know what I mean? There's been a lot of hard work and a lot of sort of blood, sweat, and beards and all that kind of thing. So I'm just it's kind of like it's dead space, if you know what I mean, where you sat with a pregnant pause. The bride's it's quite literally, you've got this strange time where you can't say anything about it because you don't want to oversell it. You can't push it out and you can't send it out. You're certainly not allowed to do that. So you just sat waiting, thinking what's next? And like I said, thankfully, it's soon, April the 19th. It's not so far away now, so we'll soon see.
Beautiful. So could you tell us a bit more about the album from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it?
Yes, on this one, we actually had a direction for a change. Normally, we just let them flow. We know what, and if anybody who knows My Dying Bride, they kind of know what we're about. And what we've always sort of been about. But on this one, we stayed within the realms of My Dying Bride, but we decided very early on we wanted big riffs. We like the idea of putting some big chunky riffs back in. And we like the idea of not necessarily Cannibal Corpse style ferocity, but something that showed its teeth a little bit for us anyway, and dressed some of the songs accordingly. It's still got this sort of somber elegance we like and that kind of thing. But we deliberately made it. We tried to write riffs like old school riffs and go back to basics. We didn't bring in any extra musicians and no extra vocalists this time. We just kept it very much the band, a rock and roll band. But we did try and deliberately write some riffs that will allow death metal vocals to shine. And I also think we got away with that. That was a played for and got moment. It's not covered in death metal, but there's plenty on it. And because I know people like that, and we sometimes forget. So I think we had a small plan. It wasn't much. I've stuck to it, and I think we got there.
Very cool. So to date, you've released the singles, The Second of Three Bells and Thornwick Hymn. So would you say that they're a good sonic representation of what to expect from the album overall, or are they just a portion?
Thornwick Hymn is closer to the rest of the album, I think. Second of Three Bells is part of the dynamics. If you were to think it's all like that, you would be mistaken once you get to hear it. But if you were to say which one represents it closer, it's less delicate than the Second of Three Bells throughout. It's punchier throughout, I think. So it's a fair balance, I suppose. But if I had to really choose, which I know that wasn't the question, it would be the Thornwick Hymn. But even that, I mean, that doesn't represent the apocalyptists, and it certainly doesn't sort of really represent Her Dominion and the way that one rolls out. So tricky. It's a good indicator. I mean, if you like those two, I'm fairly sure you're going to like the rest. If you dislike those two, you're probably not going to like the album.
Very cool. Now, A Mortal Binding follows on from 2020's The Ghost of Orion, mate. So what's changed with My Dying Bride between those two albums?
Well, the main difference is having a stable lineup. We brought Neil Blanchett in on guitar. He plays in a local band called Valafar. It's a death metal band with sort of Viking-esque touches to it every now and then. And we've known Neil since our demo, so we're talking 30 odd years. So he came in on guitar. He's very similar to me in the way he approaches things. He likes big, massive riffs. He's not a virtuoso player. He's not interested in that. He just wants it to sound heavy as flip, if we can say that word.
You can swear, mate. You can swear as much as you like.
So it was a good fit. All right, I self-censored there. So he's a good fit, and he's a good guy as well. So I mean that really helps. And then we've always had drummer problems. We just seem. I mean, I actually joke that we call ourselves Spinal Bride sometimes, or my dying tap, depending on which version you prefer. Because the drummers come and go, and we can't force people to turn up. You know, life's well, we've all got different priorities now that we're all 50, or most of us are 50. So you appreciate life's different. Anyway, so the short version is we've got Dan Mullins back on drums, and I love the guy. I really do. He lives literally just down the road from me here.
Oh, handy.
So he's back on drums, plays a sterling, performance throughout the entire album. Absolutely brilliant. And he's back, and I hope for good, that kind of thing. And it just made life so much easier, because on Ghost of Orion it was fragmented. I had to write a lot of it myself, which I can do, but I don't enjoy. With this, we wrote as a band. We went to rehearsal and we played loud 2 or 3 times a week, and it was full Marshall stacks, blasting the fuck out of everything.
Nice.
And we wrote the songs back to front, up and down, took them apart, put them back together for over a year, probably close on 18 months. And when we'd finished, we reckon we had them in the orders that they worked the best in, and so on. And we pulled riffs we weren't absolutely sure on, made blah 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 blah. We really practiced this out. We really practiced it out, and I think that's the main difference. Whereas the other one was cold and insular and dark from within us, because we were having a rough ride. This one's a joyous, if you will, if you can. It's a joyous sort of expedition this time into the realms of doom. I know it doesn't sound like it much, but inside of us, we were loving this.
That's all that matters.
Well, yeah, we liked it, so fuck you lot.
As you mentioned before, mate, like this is going to be your 15th album. So, do you find it gets easier or harder to come up with new material and fresh sounding material the more you write?
It feels harder. When you start it, you work. I mean, so immediately for this example, I'll try and answer that this way. We immediately try not to record the last album, which I think is a very much a band thing. That all bands will say that, they're very conscious of the last album. They try not to do that to keep it fresh. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as you say that to yourself, you think, well, we need to do something different. And then as soon as you say that, you think, well, we can't wander off. We've got to stay within the realms of who we are. But then, so once you get that little panic attack out of the way, you find yourself writing just as you always did. And it amazes me. I don't know if this is the same for other musicians. I haven't really spoke about this, that you can still, because they come from nowhere. The riffs, you don't know where they come from. You set your gear up, you start playing, and then they appear, and fuck knows, I don't know how it happened. They just do, and then you write harmony to that, and then you change it, and the harmony might become the main thing. So it's down to a little bit of hard work and a little bit of tenacity, but it does worry you that you think, well, there's only so many notes, and there's only so many frets on a guitar, and if you stand there like that, you'll never pick a guitar up. You'll just be defeated already. But the trick is, hopefully knowing enough about your own music that you don't write the same riff twice, because we've tried that. It don't work. If people catch you out, and then just having the sort of confidence that it's in there, just let it flow type of thing, and it shows up. Use the force, Luke, and all that.
Very cool. Now, speaking of writing, mate, like you're well known as someone who's continually writing music, mate. So what drives that side of your personality, like so many years into your career still, I guess?
I have this desire, if you will, or this goal, and it's not like I'm trying to create something that I don't think I can actually create. I'm trying to create the pure, when you hear a piece of music and it's so absolutely either phenomenally joyous or phenomenally, melancholic, or just in the moment, in the essence, it's just angelic almost. And it's recorded correctly, it's sang correctly, and it might not be, there's even moments when Deicide do this, so it doesn't have to be anything sort of orchestrated, or Deicide can do this out of point, one outlet. And I bumped into it once some years ago, where I thought that is almost, it was just a twin harmony that I'm going to use the word resonated but it's a popular sort of term now, but that's really what it did, resonate with whatever I was thinking, whatever I was trying to achieve. And ever since then, I've been trying to get it back. It was a sorry piece. It was a really sad piece. And I didn't record it. And I thought, fuck me, there's no way I'm forgetting this. And I got sidetracked and then never got there again. And it's bugged me, as you can imagine. So the drive is to find whatever that moment was, in essence. And in and amongst that, I just like heavy metal. I mean, I'm just standard heavy metal. You know, is it loud? Yes. Does it have a distortion pedal underneath? Yes. Oh, that's good enough for me. We're off. You know what I mean? That's. But we do it in My Dying Bride does it in our version. So the drive is just because I like the sound of it all, and I particularly like reverbs and delays. I mean, if it was up to me, it'd sound like we were playing in a cavern on a hollow moon. But our producer Mark Miner, he won't allow all of that. He's constantly trying to stop us ruining his own albums, which we would given half a chance. Sure.
So your honesty is refreshing, brother. I love it. Cool. So, like having such a creative mind, mate, like, do you sort of like when you finish an album cycle, like, do you put it to bed and just move on to the next thing, or do you still, I suppose, the music still, we'll use the word resonate again, but does it still resonate with you going into the next cycle, or like I say, do you just put it to bed and leave it behind?
On this one, well, what I normally do is I deliberately do like downtime. So I'm doing that now, and to be fair, these interviews have proved useful because it forces me not to think about picking up the guitar, because we all still work for a living. So when I come home from work, we're busy with interviews now, so I can't pick the guitar up anyway, even if I tried. So, but I probably won't pick the guitar up for maybe another couple of weeks, and I won't even attempt it, because otherwise I'm busy thinking about the riffs and I'm busy thinking about something else instead of relaxing and sort of enjoying, if you will, the hard work and the fruits of all the other labors we've just done. So it's not that I need the rest. You know, I'm fully capable of. Well, in fact, we are sort of semi-writing an EP, believe it or not. On the back of everything I've just said, we are writing an EP. So we've got 2 songs done, which were not necessarily remnants of the album. They just didn't make it onto the album because they were too long. And we're writing a third as we go. So, but I don't immediately stop this album and write another one, because it would sound it. I think I have to give some space now, because the next album has to sound different to this.
Yeah.
And my writing right now sounds like this. So oddly enough, by buying some time and just leaving it for a couple of months and starting again, we'll get a different version of me, if you will, if that makes any sense. I mean, believe me, I'm in no rush to start another album. The fucking hard work. 4-year break will do for me, before the next one, or however long it is. I mean, I don't even know what the normal. What is the normal gap between albums? What does everybody else do?
These days, people are releasing shit every 6 months or so. Like, it's such a disposable world. Like, people, it's just the continual release of shit these days, which, like, I can't handle it. Like, I like to digest my music, and live with it for a while.
Yeah, I at once a year, that's too much. I mean, we couldn't do that, man alive. We rehearse longer than that for this.
Which is why it sounds so bloody good, mate.
All right, cool, thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, each other. I'm happy with a big gap. Maybe not 4, who knows? But maybe we'll bring it closer. But it won't be in 1, that's for sure.
Well, however long it is, mate, your album Immortal Binding is out April 19th, and I had a listen before this interview, mate. And to be honest, it's the first time I've listened to your music, and it was captivating. Like, it was atmospheric in parts, it was striking in parts. It was just there's so much going on there, and it all comes together so well, mate. So it's a bloody good album. You should be proud of your efforts.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate those comments, especially from someone who's not overly familiar. I mean, you probably heard of us, but maybe didn't know just what we were up to. That's those words mean a lot from a newbie. Welcome to the club.
Thanks, brother. Welcome to the family, my friend.
Thank you.
Rightio, Andrew. Well, you take care of yourself, mate. Like we say, Immortal Binding is out April 19th. You guys have got heaps of shows and stuff coming up, which can be found on your socials, but hopefully you make it out to this side of the world soon and we get to catch up. Yeah.
Well, we hope so. We are thinking about it. Trust me. We get asked a lot, but you had very naughty families in the past. And you
We're
move
still
to
naughty,
very
mate.
far
Don't
away.
worry about that. We're still naughty over here. Don't worry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we get asked a lot, and we do try bend our minds, and which obviously helps us bend the will towards that, because we appreciate that even though it's the dark side of the world, it is still very much a heavy metal haven. You know what I mean? You're just like us. You know what I mean? Except your weather's better.
Infinitely.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. All right, brother. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, mate. I hope we've woken you up on the right foot, and we'll see you if
Yeah.
you.
No, brilliant. Thank you very much. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Take care,
Cheers
man.
now. Bye bye.